So, welcome back. It is week 5, 6? I don't remember what week it is. It's time to start getting this thing pretty much done. When you're into the little details like I am, it takes a long time to get these things, just the way you want it. So, I finally did receive all my fittings. I already put the 90 on. I already got the coils on. I had them last week. But I finally received our return bulkhead and our actual wiring bulkhead. Now, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to use this one. This is for a fuel return, but I don't think it's going to fit on everything. Anywho, this is the beginning of the week here. I have some updated news on the Travelall build. Once again, it is still happening, but we have one that's already come aboard for the paint. We have another one that's come aboard for a welder, just because I have the tap style old school Hobart. This is a great welder, but I wanted something with a lot of controllable heat because there's going to be a lot more welding being done, and I would really like to get it down low to where I can control the sheet metal where it's so thin, okay? It's not really thin, it's thicker, but it's thin, you know what I'm saying, rusty. And another partial that I can't talk about yet. So, anywho, keep following, subscribe, like, share, check out the TikTok. I look like a Three Stooge right now with this hair. But, anywho, let's get back to work on the C10. So, don't mind all these metal shavings. This is our wiring bulkhead. It's kind of big. This is our return. Now, all of this is supposed to go in the fuel mech somehow. I'm going to try not to put it on this table with all these shavings. But anyway, it's all supposed to go into this hat. Top. Whatever you want to call it. Let's sit it through here like this. I'm not worried about that. But, okay. Wiring bulkhead is going to be real tight. Because remember, it goes over past these holes quite a bit. Which is a problem. And I am seeing it now. Unless I take... No, because I only got 2 wires. I don't know if this is going to work either. I know this one ain't going to work because it's even bigger. The return. But again, we have a bolt. What the crap is that? Oh God, Ford guy. There's a dude with a piece of crap Ford Expedition. And he starts it, revs it up for an hour like it's freaking carbureted. And then leaves. Can you hear it? It's annoying. I hate it. But yeah, I think I can pop this out. And we can use that for a return. No big deal. And I'm looking, it's like a 1/4 inch. So we need at least a 1/4 inch past these screw holes. Oh, that's going to be a tough fitting for this bulkhead. I mean, I'm going to have to put it, just perfectly to make it fit. We'll get her in there. Where's the other plug for the harness? But anyway, that's what I'm going to work on today, is trying to get that halfway plugged in. What the crap is that? Oh, I took that off of another tank. Yeah, I'm like, I've got fittings here. I didn't even need this. Yeah, I did too. But yeah, we're going to have to plug this in, solder all these wires to come out of here through the top. If I could move this over to here, it would probably help. I don't know how it's on there. If it's just bolted, I can probably just move it, drill a new hole, reuse that hole. It looks like it's just bolted. If I can pull that through, that's the fuel cylinder, the actual level. Gotta have that. Especially with something LS, it's not really gonna drink the gas. They're good on gas even when you hot rod them. So here we go. Let me see. Okay, so that does move. Yeah, so I'm gonna move that over here and drill a bigger hole here to put the bung hole. No, it's a Crap, I forgot what it's called already. It's not a bung, it's a bulkhead. Bulkhead. I knew it started with a B. But yeah, we'll move that. Do our soldering and everything, and we'll get the pump pretty much done and in the tank. Now, I don't know if I want to cut this and put a hard fitting, or if I want to cut the line coming out of the tank, which is also a hard fitting, but it's a lot further right there. And the reason I'm thinking about cutting this piece is because if I cut the other end off of here, you'll pretty much be stuck with this specific mechanism. You know what I'm saying? You'll have to cut every one of them you get and get a fitting for it. Whereas if I cut the one in the truck, you can still unbolt it here, and the fitting's always on the pipe in the truck, which makes it, you know, a lot easier if you ever have to replace a pump. You just pull, you know, this setup apart and use it. So I think that's what I'm personally going to do to make it better for, you know, let's say the next guy, which there might not be a next guy, but there might be a next guy. So I don't know. But I still have to figure out where I need to put my fuel return Corvette setup. Again, don't be confused. This is not the inlet. That is the out. Those two are the in and out for the fuel pump. So I was very confused that first day. I was like, I don't understand why they'd send me that. But I figured it out finally. I talked to a buddy of mine. But anywho, we have to do this now and get this thing moving here. So sorry for the heat. Again, it's like 50 degrees today, so I'm cold. Anywho, this is about as good as I can get this. It's wired. It's got the bulkhead for the wiring and everything in it. I zip tied the wires, make sure they were good. The ground I'll take right to this other ground. If I can stop flipping the thing off. Right through here, where the other ground goes. And this is my power wire that they already have on the other harness, the new harness. So all I have to do is connect this one to that one, ground it. This pump should work. Hopefully, if everything's right, enough PSI is going to come out and everything, and I won't have to literally lose my mind because I won't know what else to do at that point, because we're not putting a tank in the bed back here. So we want to keep it in the cab, and that's our only solution right now. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm probably gonna jump this and make sure that that plug's right, power and ground is right, and it's sucking. So fun. So I am now gonna put this baby in, and I am probably not gonna film it because I won't lie, there's probably going to be some cuss words coming out of my mouth, because this is going to put up an entire fight to fit all this junk through that little bitty hole. See, they could remake this tank and do the double cinders on here and have plenty of room, but nobody does, because they don't want the cab inside, or the tank inside. Probably because, you know, they're afraid something like this is going to blow up. But, I mean, as long as it's sealed and shrinked and everything like that, it won't be a problem. So, let's fight this thing in. So what I'm working on now is trying to get all my, fittings wrote down so I can go and get them to basically start slamming this thing out. But these are the trans lines. Now these use these special push-in clip style fittings that have these little plastic holders. Yeah, those work really good, and it kind of sucks to not use those. So I'm going to use them, and I'm going to adapt it to another piece of hard line to go all the way from the transmission to the radiator. And I've already found my fittings and stuff to fit on this. Unfortunately, I'll have to reduce them because a 3/8 line has a bigger fitting than what actually goes into the radiator. I'll show you. So this is the actual fitting for the radiator. This is actually a 3/16 line, but a 3/8 line is a lot bigger than that. So you can't get them that'll fit in there. They might have some really thin one nuts, but I've got to get stuff like, I need some more line, the fittings for that, the tank fitting. I need 3/8 vacuum hose, and I need a piece of 3/8 booster hose. The booster hose is actually 22 and the vacuum 16. They sell an in-hose PVC with these valve covers. You got to use that. And then I got to get a grommet for the floor, because what I'm going to do is the fuel fitting for the return is going to go in here, and I'm just going to drill a hole through the floor like right here and put a grommet on it. And I'm going to use the hard line down almost to under the truck, and that'll be perfect. I don't want to bring them both over here. It'd be weird. I don't know why. I just don't want to do that. I want to have the return closest here, and the fuel will be the hard line till under the truck, and then I'll adapt it to 3/8, or not 3/8, but to a -6, the -6. But that is the current situation. I need all that stuff. Still need upper and lower radiator hose. With this, I was talking to my buddy. I think I already said this, but you got to ground the pin on here to pin 33. This actually comes with the harness. This plug does, which is going to get chopped up a bunch because I have to add in a relay, which it comes with the fans, and I'll have to run it, key 12, but it won't get ground until the computer tells it to kick on. So that'll be the ground trigger for the fan to, and it'll work. What else do I have to do here? There ain't much left after that. Oh, I still got to do the throttle pedal. I got to go have VATs removed from the computer. Yeah, I mean, there's not much left to do. Drive shaft, I got to fit the drive shaft. But I can't technically start the motor until I have the trans lines on, because it'll just gush trans fluid out. I can't put the wiring on until I get these hoses ran for under this intake. So everything's just, there's a step before a step, because it would be impossible to fight all the power lines, or the lines going under here to hook up them hoses. So I want to hook up the hoses first, then run the harness, and I got to plug in the plug behind the starter before I can put the new starter on. So you see, everything's got like a step to it, and it's how it is. I still have the original belt, so we'll probably use it. It seemed like it was fine. Yeah, so I mean, I don't even have to have radiator hoses on this before I start it, and I probably won't have them on before I start it, but I've got to get a bunch of other stuff done. I also want to see if he wants to run it's called the Big 3 upgrade. Usually it's for car audio stuff, but for a factory truck like this, I would like to use, a bigger power wire from here, and run it over to the battery to where it charges easier. It don't have to go through this little bitty line right here to charge. So that's just something I want to address to him and see what he says. If he's like, no, I don't care, then I won't do it. It's his truck. I can cut and do away with these. These are the voltage. I think those are voltage regulators from it. I might need those actually to hook one of these up for power on the dash for charging. I don't know if this has a charging light in it or not. Or I mean, a voltmeter in the cluster. Yeah, it does. So I'll have to make sure and hook that up. Which if I hook that up to the alternator, like literally right here, there you go. It'll tell it's charging or not. That's it. So no big deal. I have to find a key power and a full-time power for the relay for the fan, which I'm going to mount the relay over here because it already is a mess with that stuff. So, you know, I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible. And it'd be easy if I just have to run a power, say, up through here. I can hide it with whatever wire that is. God, dry out. And run it over here. Keyed power should be one of these up here that I have to... I'm pretty sure, actually, it's this yellow one is keyed power, because it goes to the starter, and I think it's the excite wire or whatever you want to call it. So that has to go over there, and I have to run my harness in the cab. So it's moving. It's just moving slow. I gotta get a lot of stuff still. A lot of little fittings and stuff I gotta get locally. Then we're talking fluids and drive shaft and throttle pedal, run, drive, gone, done. I don't have to mess with any brakes on here. I didn't touch them. I don't have to mess with any of the suspension stuff. I didn't touch that. If there's not a motor, well, the trans ain't even, that's not even my problem. It's literally motor. If the motor has a problem, it's my problem. Trans is somebody else's problem because it's just a factory trans. So it's just, you know, but let's get back to it. So yesterday I went and got a lot of the little things we needed. Inline PVC for under the intake, grommets, hose clamps, a bunch of hoses and hose clamps, the trans lines, which I have to make, a fitting for the return on the fuel tank. I've been half lazy and half sick, or maybe I felt lazy because I was getting sick. Not the flu, but a stomach thing. This has got to go here, and I'm going to have to fight it, of course, around that little edge. Sorry. Yeah. But that'll be the return. I have to drill a hole in the floor. That's what the grommets are for, is to run the return line through. The gas line, again, I'm going to hook metal under the cab. So, yeah. I just got to get busy and get all these little things on. Literally, it's nothing special to watch, just a lot of little pieces going on, and I'm gonna have to do a lot of up and down under the truck because I'm gonna have to jack it up. I gotta bolt on the fuel filter, return regulator, whatever, get it done. Yeah, but I'm gonna start getting into speed mode here. I also need to do these I need to drill that hole bigger and run the wires in the cab at least, because if I run the wires in the cab, I can hook them all up out here, putting a starter on and everything, to the point where I can get, you know, somewhat ready to start this thing once I get the fuel system done, which is like a big milestone. So once it starts, well, I can't start till I get the trans lines, because on the 4060E, if you don't know, if you're getting ready to work on yours or swap it or not, something, if you start this thing before your trans lines are hooked up, you are going to gush fluid out the side of there. So just be prepared. You know, don't do that. I did it once on my 79. I didn't know, and it was just like murder scene. So yeah, got to get it hooked up. I still ain't got the upper and lower radiator hose yet. I figure that's like the last thing on the list, because there's a million other things on the list anyway. But yeah, let's finish off this fuel system while it's getting warm in here. It's only 48 outside. Well, it's like 52 now, but it's 48 in here, and I'm cold. So let's put this on, start doing all this little stuff, and we'll get, you know, everything rolling. By the time it gets warm, I'll jack it up and get under it. So I think I got the fuel system pretty much buttoned up as far as in the cab goes. Everything's hooked up. Again, my red wire's got a trigger to the computer red wire, which is, there's a little bundle of wires over on the harness somewhere that connects to that. and that's your trigger wire for your tank, for your, you know, fuel pump. Grounds are all hooked up. I've drilled a hole, got my grommet, got my return. That's good. So everything else with that is got to be under the cab besides the trigger wire. I still have to figure out where to mount the computer, of course, because right now I still say it's good over here in this corner, but he ain't having it. I wonder if I can just mount it to the, nah, I was gonna say mount it to the bottom of that glove box part, but it's just like fabric. It ain't gonna do nothing. If that glove box wasn't 2 foot deep, I mean, I could get it in there anywhere, but there's nowhere to put it. And on the firewall, I need to put it in on like this on the firewall. He said mount it under the seat. Again, I don't want to. So that's an ongoing issue. The gas pedal's an ongoing issue. So let's continue on with what else we got to do out here. Let's do this PCV real quick. And what it is when you use these aftermarket valve covers, you got to use a inline PCV valve. Yeah. Here's one I got. Little inline PCV, 3/8 on one end and 5/16 on the other, because the holes for the PCV under the intake is 5/16, and the hose going to the nipple on the new valve cover setup is 3/8. So, you know, is this directional? I'd feel this would be the part to the valve covers no matter what. So yeah, we're gonna hook that up real quick, which is gonna be a lot of me getting very aggravated because it's like right here, and somehow I gotta get my hose on the nipple under there, and yeah, it's gonna be a nightmare. But again, it's in a spot I can't even see, so there's no point in showing you. But that's what I'm gonna do next. PCV under there, and I'm gonna replace this vacuum line from the booster to the other nipple under there, but this one's further in, so I'll do it first. Almost wish I would have thought about it ahead of time and I could have ran a piece of wire, or I could already had this on there and a piece of 3/8 flung out the back. Same way with this one, a piece of 3/8 flung out the back. But you know, this is the first time using these sheet metal intakes because literally nobody likes them. They look okay, but I would just shave the factory intake myself. It's still clean, still looks nice, still performs. But yeah, let's PCV it. Got the vacuums hooked up. I just tossed the wires over here. I'm getting ready to cut that hole in the firewall right there, and it's got to be a 2-inch. 2-inch. Now, if you've ever tried to drill a hole without a starter, because it's already a hole, you know this is going to be a fight. But you can do this. This bit has threaded. It threads on, the hose saw does. And what I'm going to do is, this happens to be the same thread. This is a 3/4. And if I can do it one-handed, I doubt it, but I can try. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there you go. 3/4 inside there now. So guess what size that hole is? 3/4. So you can take that and it becomes your guide to where it don't move so much. But that's how I'm going to drill that hole. I don't know if I'm going to drill it from out here or inside. If I got enough room inside, I can do it there. It'll make it a lot easier. I don't know. I don't know. I might be able to do it from in here, which would be nice because it'd be kind of easier than stretching way over the front of that truck to get this all the way through. So we'll see. But that's my next step. Drill that so I can start fishing my harness through. Well, when your normal chuck drill won't work, you improvise. So I needed it longer to reach in there, which I'm still not quite sure it's going to work. But yeah, we come up with stuff like this. Now we got to try to get it in there and drill it. without scratching everything up. Yeah, I just saw a big run there. Look at that. This dash is covered in runs. I just saw that. You can't see it unless it's in the right light, because it's so friggin' orange. But yeah, let me try to get this in here and drill it. Like, no joke, sometimes I even surprise myself with the stupid things I get and build, and it works. So yeah, that worked perfectly. I mean, perfectly. The whole setup, the little hole saw, the big hole saw, the impact, it went freaking perfect. Smooth as silk. Oh my god, I love it. But yeah, let's start running some wires. We gotta get the whole harness through there. If you see the cardboard, I did that so none of the metal shavings landed on any of the new stuff. It just went down over top of the transmission. This is what most people are afraid of when it comes to doing an LS. You know, they'll slap a carburetor on it and be like, I'm afraid of the wiring. But literally, this all only goes in one spot. So you can, you know, finagle it. I've got to finagle all this stuff down under the intake, down the transmission to the shift and everything, the speedo, which is right here. Which I just noticed it only has one. Does that one? Is that one? Oh yeah, pretty sure this has one, and it has two on the 4L80E. So that goes back down that way, down the side of the transmission. I think it's on the driver's side. The plug. Yeah. This stuff is your throttle position, your idle air control, your map sensors. I believe one of these should be, yes, this one I believe is the distributor. Nope, that's a 3-pin. Where's the distributor plug? Distributor plug's a 4-pin big flat. 4-pin big flat. O2 sensor. Da, 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 da. Is that the distributor? No, that's 3. Uh-oh. Did somebody pin the distributor wrong? 3. Well, that's a 4, but it's only got one wire. That might be it, because all it needs is a trigger wire. That's it. Yeah, so it only needs a trigger wire, so don't be confused like I just was. That's going to be your temp sensor. Yeah, but all this stuff's got to get run and hid and pushed into places. You know, no big deal, but this is like a thing that I prefer to do. Like if you had, before the engine goes in, if you can, but sometimes it gets in a way, you know, so that's all how it is. Or like me, when I do the Caprice, I'm going to, you know, remove all the body and stuff, and I'll reroute the harness and everything differently. Just when I thought I was done buying stuff, this motor for some reason has a 5-wire mass airflow. It's over here. I just got done cleaning it. I got some of that good CRC mass airflow cleaner. It's the only stuff that really works. But this is a 5-pin. Reason it is because the idle air intake, or the intake air temp sensor, is built into it. Now, that's what comes with the motor. What this harness has is the 2 plug for a 3 and an idle intake air. But they sell an adapter, so I just ordered one. That way it's a little cleaner. I don't want to go cutting up on this stuff or anything like that. But I've got this side all hooked up, these 2 front and the coil hooked up. I'm going to hook up them 2 back sensors. Alternators hooked up, temp sense hooked up, and again, mass airflow is getting ready hooked up, and that's pretty much it as far as fuel injection. Now I've got to hook up the map sensor in the back, and I've got to hook up the cam sensor on the back, and that should be all the harness as far as the top goes. Yes, that should be all the harness as far as the top goes. I got to route this down to the trans, no big deal. I got the other one routed down to the crank sensor and the wires that go to the starter. Yeah, not too bad. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's working, you know, slowly. It's just a lot of wires to try to fight under this intake and hide. You know, you can see, you stand right here, even if you stand over here, it's pretty clean. You can't see them wires. I wish there was something else to do with these hoses. I sort of wish I had orange, like, silicone vacuum hoses for this, but I figured that's a little bit too importy for this. This being a 66, you know, it's a little too import style. So we're just going to go straight black hose, you know. But she's coming together now. What time is it here? 4 o'clock? Yeah, so I'm going to hook up these other two injectors and them other two sensors, and the top will be done. Alright, so it's all tucked up under there in the back. Got the ground hooked up. Got the back, what is that thing? Cam sensor. I just remembered I need to do the map sensor, if I can find it. But yeah, hook up the map, and that should be harnessed done on top until I get, you know, that plug in. But yeah, it sucked to try to fish my hands under here and under there and back through here. It sucked. What I would suggest, really, beforehand, lay your harness on your valley, like dead in the center, just sort of where you want it to be. Then put your intake on, then do it, you know. Same way with them hoses. Put them hoses on first, let them stick out the back, then put your intake on. It's just, again, first time messing with these sheet metal intakes. I just know everybody says do not use them. So, and the reason is because they're hard to tune. But this one should be pretty easy, considering we are using the mass airflow, we're using the idle intake, and we're using the map. So this should be pretty easy to tune. It's definitely going to run without a tune. It just won't perform as good, you know, and you definitely want it to perform. It'll probably just eat gas like crazy and overload, or it might not start. Well, it should start. I mean, the only thing changed is the cam. So the only thing you really got to do is up the fuel curve when running. So, anywho, let me find this map sensor and hook it up. Or not map, the map sensor. Dude. I have been sick for the past 4 or 5 days, so I'm just now getting over it a little bit, but I'm out here trying to get something done. My mind is just like, me, you know, busy signal right now. But, I'm going to try to get some work done. I don't know if I will today or not, but I'm trying. I had the flu. It sucks. Dayquil, NyQuil for me. You know, I hammer them and push through. Let it get hot in my room. You know, they're like, you're not supposed to be hot when you're sick. I do it anyway. I seem to get over it quicker. Let it run its course. You know, I don't go to the hospital or nothing like that. But yeah, let's flip it around here and look at this truck. So unfortunately, what I need to do now is I need to jack it up. I need to crawl under it. I need to work on things like shift linkage and the fuel filter regulator. I need to mount it and start running my lines to it. What else was there I need to do? I almost considered leaving the hard line like all the way up to here for the fuel, because right here is the actual fuel line. And then just connecting, you know, that to there, and that'd be done. But I was like, nah, I'm gonna actually use the rubber back through there. Sorry, I'm freaking out of it here. I need to do that. I need to work on the trans lines. I need to work on plugging in the transmission. I still have to do the throttle pedal and computer. I still have to find out where to mount that. Again, there's a ton of wiring harness in here now.
that I have to find a spot for. I need to go and have the computer VATs deleted and stuff, which I'm not going to do that until the day before I run it. I do need to do like pull it outside and test the fuel pump after I get all the fuel lines and everything hooked up to make sure that, you know, if it's going to explode, it's going to do it outside, not burn my garage down, you know, just burn in the driveway. But I'm just saying, I doubt it will. I'm just, you know, extra cautious just in case. But yeah, again, I'm like 80% right now, maybe 70. But I'm trying to get anything done. The first sponsor package for the Travel build comes today. It's actually here a day early, and I can't wait for it to get here. I'm not going to say what it is or anything yet. I have to do some videos on it as part of the sponsorship deal. So we'll worry about that when its time comes. I'm sort of hoping to get this done and out of here. I told them about 2 weeks after I get it. So if I get it today, it'll be mid-November before I make the review video and post it. So anyway, yeah, let's jack this thing up. So I'm under here getting everything ready to put the fuel filter on the rail, the frame rail, and I cut the fuel line to use a hard line to AN fitting that I had because I thought it was 3/8. It was not. Hey Big Cat, what are you doing? It is actually 5/16, so I had to order one. Great. What? What's up, geezer? So, yeah, that's going to put me behind even further. Lovely. I'm trying to figure out where I want to mount this thing right now. It's either going to be mounted up here or back here. I haven't figured out which yet. I don't want it to have a hard, like a hard kink in it for the hard line where it connects to rubber hose. Again, sorry, I am sick. But yes, hard line is right here, which I'll bend back over to here. And I figured if I mount that filter right here, it's going to be pretty tight to get the hard line. It's going to be like a little rubber hose, you know, from here to here, which will probably be best, but at the same time, maybe not the best, because I do have to get it to the frame. So I figured if I hook the hard line and run it up through here and have it mounted like right here, the filter, it'll be better. But right now I'm just struggling to survive the sickness, so yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. Hard line there, filter. I'm just trying to figure out how much room I'm gonna have here. I need to run the return over the frame rail, figure out where I want to put it, and then have the fuel delivery and then the fuel delivery to the front. So yeah, trying to figure all this stuff out. So I am so weak right now from this flu, I can't even push this rubber hose on that thing, man. It's taking everything I got. This sucks. But yeah, I'm working on the fuel lines. I've got the fuel from the 90 on the rail to the filter on. This is from the filter to the actual fuel pump portion, which is 5/16 hard line, not 3/8. It ain't gonna matter really. This is, I had to order an adapter for 5/16 hard to 6 AN. But yeah, I'm gonna spit on this a little bit and push her on, you know, try to get her on there while I'm struggling to do anything. let's move forward. We must continue. We must not stop. We must go, go, go. So the fuel system's basically done. I am the one fitting short, which is the 5/16 to 6 AN. Then I just gotta bolt it to this, bolt it on the hard line, done. Go in there and zip tie and tighten all the fittings up, and that'll be ready to go. Of course, it's taken me all day because of the sickness. I'm a little shaky. But next step is, I don't know. This sickness sucks. I have a package in the mail. Hopefully it's the fitting, the adapter for this map slash intake air temp sensor, and click them together, put it on. Then I'll figure out how we hook that up. While this is like this, though, I want to crawl on the other side and look at the shift linkage. This is a low car shift linkage I had him get, because, you know, low car, or you're not moving your car. But yeah, I got all this stuff I gotta figure out how it goes. Now, I had the cheaper version, which was like a 5/16 rod, which is what I think this is, but anywho, don't bend them. Try to keep them as straight as possible. I tried putting an S curve in the one on the C10, and I think that's why it was so hard to shift, because it's going to move and then it's not going to be right anymore. So try to keep it straight as possible. But I'll have to unbolt this linkage off of the shift selector here, which it's all the way down right now. Pull it up, unbolt that, pull that all off. Don't need that anymore. And we'll start working on the low car shifter setup. Jeez. I'm getting dizzy just explaining it, but yeah. This is for the basically everything, as you can see. 350, 400, 700, the 200 R4, 60, 60E, 80E. Okay, what's a 60 and not a 60E? In my opinion, a 60 that's not an E is a 700 R4. So what is that? I don't know. I've never heard of a 60 without an E. The 4L60, which I always thought the 4L60 without electronics is a 700 R4. I'll have to look that one up, but yeah, we'll get this kit pulled out here and see what's in it. So I basically have the shift linkage figured out. So this goes on your transmission. One of these, depending on which size they are, which one's a 10 mil and a 3/16. I believe that's 10 mil. It was 3/16. It goes on through here, and that's what bolts your setup on. I don't know why it has the double nut, to be honest with you. I am looking at the instructions. It doesn't specify why the nut's there. Like, it has this that goes in and then this one there. I don't know why. But yeah, it gives you the right positioning and everything on here. Shows you how to hook it up. Yeah, the standoffs. What are the stands off for? Backup light neutral safety switch. Won't be using that. But anyway, I'm pretty much done for today. It's starting to get dark. It's starting to cool down. And I'm starting to... my face is starting to, like, you know, clog up. So I just can't handle it anymore for the rest of today. Hopefully I'll wake up tomorrow and be about over it. NyQuil. But yeah, I'll work on linkage and stuff tomorrow. I gotta unbolt it. But that is it for me today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So we're back out here again. I'm feeling quite a bit better, but I'm a little aggravated right now, straight off the bat. Got my order in today for my adapter for the map, or not the map, but the mass airflow and the idle air control, or what, or not the idle air control, the air intake temp. So this is what they sent me. Not what was in the picture, not what was described. doesn't fit this, doesn't fit the mass airflow. Thanks for wasting my time. eBay. Had to order another one. I'm getting tired of this crap. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attempt to do the shift linkage. Probably going to go horribly wrong. But let's continue on here. Let me unbolt this shift linkage right here. I need to pop it back up in the park, which is not hooked to anything, but you want to make sure you're all the way up in the park though. And then I'll unbolt that thing, which looks like about a 13 mil. Yeah. To get that off, drop all that junk out of there, and I'll start bolting on the new one. So I've got the top section of the low car shifter linkage, which you can't barely see, it's right here. Hooked up, and the rods run down. Get ready to crawl under here now and do the lower section, which is a little more complicated. And I think it actually has a certain angle it wants set at. I think it said 9 o'clock. Oh no, it's like the 8 o'clock position. I don't think this thing will go through the gears at that angle, but let's find out. I don't know what size the shifter is on the transmission, so I better get some more wrenches. I think it's a 10 or a 13. 14, 13. Let's get a 12 and 11. There we go. There's my 10. Wait a second. 10, 10. Both gear wrench. One of these must be out of the other box. I'll have to put that back. There's 11. There's a 7/16, which is 11. Don't need that. I need a 12. I saw a 12 in here a minute ago. These will do it, I'm sure. But, yeah. Let's crawl under here and see what we got. Alright, so I did just notice that all of the shifting stuff, the plugs and everything, are on the other side. That's fine. I'll just throw the harness over on that side and plug it in. But yeah, I gotta pull this, and there's a little adapters. You gotta put this on here because it's keyed for it, and then it takes these little special nuts that go inside of it to hold it on, and then you put your shift linkage on that. It's kind of impossible to show, so I'm gonna try to get it on real quick. So I believe I have the shift linkage done. I had to shorten it a little bit, not the rod, the throw of it. But it's going through all the gears, it seems. I'll show you what I was talking about by shortening it. The arm on it, I had to pull it in because if I didn't, it would hit the exhaust. It's still pretty close, but moved in like that, it shifts fine, everything like that. So, doing crap when you're sick sucks. Luckily, these are V-bands on these exhaust things. But the O2 sensors that are in the old manifolds won't work on this engine. These are square plug, and the one on there is flat plug. So, that's not going to work. I'm going to go over to the other side now and plug up the rest of the transmission stuff. This is pretty simple stuff here. I mean, it don't take much to figure it out. But, yeah, I think this is all going to shift good now. It's in the fully parked position. So, I believe we got shifter now. That's awesome. One more thing off the list. I was worried about that for a long time. But again, don't bend that rod. Try to keep it straight. Sorry. I hope I don't get you sick. Now I just gotta plug in the other side of the transmission, which is the speedo and shift, whatever, you know, that controls the shift solenoid or whatever in it. But yeah, just gonna lay under there and plug it in. So I'm trying to figure out on the starter, you know, you got your power, which is also going to be the power to the harness. They'll all go on this one. But also there is your key switch, which I think is just this black wire. That's my keyed 12 volt, you know, that, you know, the crank on the key. Now this was a live, I think, for the coil. Well, I know it's for the coil, but I don't think I need it anymore. I don't think I need it or this one, any of that stuff now. I just need this one wire now. I don't know what I would need, why this one would have to be on there too. But I'll have to check under the dash on the key switch and see, you know, make sure everything's right. Because I don't know, there shouldn't be a neutral safety on this being a 66, but there could have been. And it might have something to do with this. I usually know, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I don't think I need that. I think I literally just need this wire. So I'll have to check it out before I put the starter on, because I have to throw that wire, this wire over. And I already ran the power wire, the original power wire. It looks like it'll work fine right here. I already got it ran down through the frame, so it's back to it. I need to find a ground too. I don't think I had. No, there is. Yeah, right here it is. Okay, I still have the original ground. Get out of my way. Which I will ground to the block right here. And that'll be plenty long enough. But I'll also add in another ground probably to this side from this. I probably don't need it over here actually if I got it ground to the head. Yeah, well, I got to add a ground from the block to the frame. Then I got to add a ground from the body to the frame, which there's one in the back here I'm going to reuse underneath the vehicle so you won't have to see it. But yeah, I got to find a bolt to go in here now. We'll probably put it through here on that lower port. And that'll be the groundage. Then we'll be closer and closer to firing this truck up. Not really close, but closer. I have to ground, again, all of them. This should have a ground. Yep. We'll ground this from here to the body, too. We'll put a little tap or something on it. Or maybe to this bolt right here. A little D-ring. So that way it's grounded to the body. So, you know, if you don't have all your grounds right, your computer won't work. I found this out on the Caprice when I did it a long time ago. You got to make sure and have a ground from body to frame, frame to engine, engine to body. I mean, it's a big loop, or it won't work good. So, gotta make sure all that stuff's right. So I set up a little test here. I've got my power on my starter. I've got the one wire I think is my trigger wire, and I've got it grounded out to here, which is also grounded to the body. So when I turn the key, it'll kick, which is exactly what it does. Because I wanted to make sure that was the actual trigger wire. If you can see it over there. Key on. Starter works. So that is my trigger wire. Oh, knock it out of my hand. But I wanted to make sure that was the trigger wire before I ran anything else, which means everything else, this pink and that yellow and that little red, which I don't know what that little red goes to. It wasn't hooked to nothing in the first place, I don't believe. Let me think here. What was that hooked to? It was probably hooked to the distributor somewhere. I don't know. But I don't need it. This is all I need now. So all that stuff will get eliminated and pulled back through. Try to clean up the harness a little bit. But now I can run that wire down and I can put my starter back on my motor, and it'll actually crank at that point. So that's where we're at with that. Alright, starter is in. It's hooked up. So that's done. I hate these headers. There were a fight just to get the V-bang clamps and the extensions on. Or the down tubes, whatever you want to call them. The other part that comes with them. Yeah, but now that means I have the power hooked to the starter, which is also the power side for the actual battery cable. Ground's hooked up. I'm going to test fit the drive shaft before I get done under there. O2s don't matter right now. It should still run without O2s on it. But I need to hook up the trans lines before I can actually go have the VATs deleted. Where are all these freaking daddy long legs coming from? Where'd it go? I've got quite a bit done today for being halfway sick. So the shift linkage is done. The starter is on and wired. It's done. Plugged in the transmission. Put the exhaust outputs on. And I just got finished putting the drive shaft in. So, yeah, I got quite a bit done today. Pretty much out of energy right now from being sick. I get the feeling I am going to literally be down to waiting on this plug for the mass airflow and that last fuel fitting by the time it's ready to fire. So, that's gonna suck. But tomorrow, I need to come out here and get the trans lines done. And after the trans lines, pedal, mount the computer somewhere, hoses, yeah, put some gas in it, and we'll be pretty close to firing. I should, if I had them two fittings, which I'm going to go tomorrow and see if I can't find, a fitting for that fuel line locally. They have some stuff, but they probably won't have that. But I'm going to see if they do. If I'm lucky, they do. And at that point, it'll literally be nothing stopping me besides... What was the other fitting I needed? It's the fitting for the... I'm sorry, I'm sick. I can't think straight. Oh, the plug for the mass airflow and the fitting for the fuel line. That's all I need. I still have to wire up, of course, the electric fans. I've got the relay over here. Yeah, here's the whole harness and relay and everything. These are real weird relays because they have like this emergency ground loop. And what it is, if your fan stops working, you plug that ground on anything and boom, your fans kick on automatically. But on an LS, they are ground controlled. So I have to go to pin 33 with that harness over there, and it's got to connect to this. And this has to connect to... Is it that? It's ground triggered. I'm confused right now on what I have to do with this. But it's because I'm sick. I know I gotta have a key power, a 12 volt power, a blue goes to the hot side of the fan, the ground is gonna go to the ground on the computer, and the ground on the fan's just gonna get ground anywhere. So yeah, but I'm definitely gonna loop this stuff over here I'm probably going to bring the other harness out through here and hook it to this one to connect it through here to come to all here, to where it's all sort of on the same side. I hate how the powers ran over there, but I think one of these will give me a keyed 12, which I can just cut and, you know, rewire however. This has to come out. It's gone. Garbage. Garbage. That other oil pressure, it's for a aftermarket gauge set under the dash. Garbage. That's all. But it's getting close now. I'm hopefully going to be pretty much done besides that and that fuel fitting by the end of the week. And yeah, we'll be ready to fire this thing. Unless, of course, you know, I find it locally. I won't find that locally. I already ordered one again. It was wrong. But closer every day. I'm ready to be done with this. I'm ready to get the caprice in here. I can't do that right now. I gotta let the jack down, but I can't. I'm too weak. But yeah, let's continue on here. Whew. All right, that's done. So that leaves radiator hoses, which we can start it without radiator hoses. The one fitting under the cab. The adapter for the harness. The electric fan. And the wiring to that. And wire the fuel pump. And we should be able to run it. But I pretty much have no more pieces. I think I need to add a ground to the other side. I added a body ground already. But I think I need to add a frame ground on this side. For some reason I want to add a frame ground. And I think I still have a hose clamp under here that is not on. Or is it on? Nope, I don't have a hose clamp down here. I need to put a hose clamp on that. I don't know if I have one that size. But it definitely needs a hose clamp on before it blows off and shoots power steering fluid everywhere. Which I'm going to have to put power steering fluid in this. I can probably put the belt on too. There's nothing stopping me from doing that yet. Oh, I got to work on the pedal. But still getting all these little things done. So it's early for me right now. I'm up and been up for a while now. But it's 11 and I'm already out in the garage. I went and checked the mail first. And I literally went, well, I'm going to have a while till these parts arrive. They're here. I ordered these Thursday. They never get here this fast. You know why? Because those are the parts left I need to start the truck. That's right. I had done the trans lines. I was basically like, oh man, I'll have, you know, that stuff will take all week to get here. I can slow go and everything. Nope. Not at all. So I got, this is the adapter for the mass airflow. Hopefully it's the right one. This is the second one I've ordered because they didn't give me the right one the first time. Different company though. Let me go find my razor knife. Sorry, it's early for me. And it's cold in here. I'm gonna turn my heat on. But get my razor knife. So this is again my mass airflow adapter and my 5/16 fuel line adapters to dash 6. So let's not hurt myself here. Is it the right one? Yes, this is the right one, finally. This came from Hawks. That don't sound good. Sounds awfully slow. But this is from eBay. Swear to God, that compressor goes out this time. I'm done playing. I'm just gonna go buy a new, well, I'm gonna try to buy a new Ingersoll. Tractor Supply. Yeah. So there's my 5/16 to -6 and my mass airflow. Other than that, I have to take the computer down to the local guys. They do, well, they remove that, but I gotta have that and pin 33. I don't remember if it was red or blue. Pin 33. It just says pin 33. I don't know if it's red or blue. Either one, I guess. Whichever one's available. Turn to my ground. That should hook up my fans. And literally I should be able to start this thing. So, yeah, let's get some ball moving on the heat here because I'm cold. And I'll get this fuel line adapter on. And this plug is just, you know, plug in and go. Why does it look like the wrong one again on that end? Come on. Let's find out. For the love of God, they sent me the wrong one again. They keep sending me this plug. These two are right, unlike the other one, which them were wrong and this one's wrong. But this one is wrong again. I need this one. Smaller. So instead, I'm just going to rewire it. Because at least these two are right. And they're going into the right head. So they're all about the same color. The only thing is I got another black instead of a purple. So I'm going to turn it purple. But yep, we're just going to rewire that one onto this plug and be done with it. I'm tired of playing with it now. I'm just ready to be done and get this thing running. Get it out of here. I'm ready to move on. So let me rewire this real quick. Well, now I'm trying to figure out radiator hoses. This is a stock 2000 model Silverado radiator upper. It does fit on the coolant side out of the engine, or that's the outside, and it doesn't fit on the radiator. And it is 1.5 miles. Too long, too big, not gonna work. So that'll be going back. I have to find something that's this size, which is humongous. And this is what I got for the lower. Now, the lower on this is ridiculous. If you look, it's way over to the left on the intake and way over to the right on the bottom. So we're going to see if that's going to work. If not, I actually had them order a swivel lower thermostat housing. So that way I can pull that one off and I can put it any angle I want, which if I point it straight down and then just get like a J-shaped lower hose, it'll work just fine. But we'll see if that one fits first, because these hoses are $65. That thermostat housing was another, what was it, 35? Yeah, it's getting expensive. All these little things. So we'll start with this. So what I have to do is I have to make what I call a Franken hose. This hose is too long and it has the wrong end on it. Okay, this end needs to be, I think it's 2-inch to fit over the radiator. So what I have to do is I have a coupler. This is from the auto parts store. This is not a, friggin' Home Depot or anything like that. This hose has to be cut down and shortened, and it also has to have a expander put on it. And how I'm going to do the expander is I'm going to take a piece of this steel exhaust pipe. I'm going to cut this off, fit this small piece into this hose. Then the bigger hose is going to go over top of that. Then I'm going to put a hose clamp, 2 hose clamps on. I'm going to make sure it don't come off. But that's really the only way, because, these radiators have a 2-inch. This is like 1.5 inches. So you're not going to stretch 1.5 inches over a 2-inch. Now, as far as the bottom one goes, this one is actually 2-inch all the way.
And what I'm going to do with it is try to put 2 hose clamps on it and, bring it together. I don't have another option. There is no adapters or anything like that. I can't find a specific hose that's going to work. So you basically have to make your hoses. Hopefully none of these pop off. But that's about all I have left to do before I can put it back down on the ground. So I need to get that lower hose on, hose clamp the fire out of it, and then hopefully we will be drop on the ground. No, I can't drop it on the ground yet till the O2 sensors come. I need to put the O2s in the back. And at that point, it's starting to tidy up things like wiring. This is garbage. That's got to come out of there. That's the orange wire. The green wire is golden. It goes to the back. I pulled the red wire that was hanging over. That's a 12 volt. I used it for my 12 volt trigger wire. And also, this does run. So, I don't think I showed anybody yet, but I'll wait till I get the radiator on and show you guys. But it is a runner now. It whistles like crazy because of that giant, huge air intake, which I have the cold air intake on the way too. So we're getting there now. We're getting there. I still have to do the pedal. So I went and saw the owner and I told him what I was going to do with the hoses. He said, no. Which I sort of figured, sort of hoped that's what he was going to say, because I didn't want to do that anyway. All right, I want to cobble together some hoses on this beauty. So what I am going to do is he's actually going to order probably an LS radiator, which has the same size fittings as this. So I'm going to cobble it together. He can literally cut that hose, go straight into the side because it'll be on the other side. And the lower radiator hose will actually be smaller too. But I'm still putting this swivel on it to where it's straight down drop to it. Now, these swivels are known to leak. Very well known to leak. But the kind that leak have a rubber O-ring. This one doesn't. It's hard mount. So, probably going to put a little RTV on it, put a new gasket on it, and put it on. And it'll be good to go. But as for now, I got to go get my weight loss shot for today. And then I'll come back and put that on. And then probably not do anything else. Well, I can start cleaning up wiring. I have to clean up this wiring. He's going to come by and look at it and see, what he wants to do. But also, let me flip this around. Check out the new shirts. These are on the spread shop in the, I don't know if it's on here, but it's on YouTube. This is the travel all that's going to get built. Going to be starting as soon as the truck's out of here. So, I'm going to finish eating my apple. I'm going to go get this shot, and I'm going to come back and start cleaning up wiring. We'll be done for today, probably, unless I go check the mail and my O2 sensors and my cold air intakes in there. But I don't think it will be. O2s might, but not the cold air. So, we'll do what we can until he comes and looks at this. So, the air cleaner came. Got this nice PVC. Well, it's actually silicone elbow. It's pretty stout right now, though. And all the rest of the stuff. This is just a cheap eBay, I think it's $54 air cleaner. Now, a lot of people run these and put them over toward the battery, but I'm not. I never do. I always like to put them over this way because it's a big empty space. You put it over by the battery, it gets real cluttered up, but I'm going to put mine over this way. So here's about where the air filter is going to be. The thing I want to do, or have to do, is I have to stretch this over that 102 millimeter throttle body. It ain't going to be easy. That is a huge throttle body, and this one is set up for I think the highest this one goes like a 92, but we're going to make it fit. So, help me yank and pull and heat and everything this up and get it over that throttle body. So, a little heat gun work. And I stretch that on there. I've got it angled just how I want it. Now, what it's doing is, you're going to be like, oh, but how are you going to get your top radiator hose on? This isn't the right radiator. We ordered the right LS swap radiator. Top radiator hose is going over here. Easy peasy. So don't have to worry about a radiator hose. It's pretty tight over here. And what I'll do is I'll make a little bend to this. I'll bend it forward a little bit, and then I'll add a bracket from there to here. So I'll do a double bolt up, and then to that have another bolt, and that'll be done. What I usually do is I'll cut this off. So I already got it tight on the actual throttle body to make sure it's right where I want it. And now we got to put on, I have the rubber, there it is, okay. So your factory mass airflow rubber will have to get used on your new air intake, which right now looks like it's too long, which is no big deal. I can cut it back. But this has to go on your factory mass airflow. This goes into your cold air intake. Give me 1 second. I'm getting this boot on here. Maybe I got it backwards. No, I had it right. Okay. So anyway, your factory goes against this. Then your throttle body slides into this. Or not your throttle body, but your mass airflow slides into this. And anyway, let's check and see. Throttle body's going to make it about 2 inches longer. Yeah, so definitely going to have to be cut down. Probably going to have to take it in probably about here. Maybe a little bit longer. Because I have to get mass airflow in, then the filter on. So right now the filter wouldn't even go on. It's hitting the frame rail, or the whatever, engine bay rail, front clip support, whatever. But yeah, that's going to have to get cut back quite a bit, probably almost to here where the bracket is. And the bracket's got to get cut off anyway, so no big deal. I can probably, well, no, I was going to say I can probably push it in more, but I want that hump to stay right above the alternator. See how it fits perfectly above that alternator? I want it to stay there. But easy peasy. I'm going to mark this, cut it, get it moved in forward, get my bracket made, and yeah, she'll be pretty much ready to go. Then I can start her again, see how it sounds without the, you know, just loud droning suck of that giant throttle body. But easy peasy. So air intake's all done, pretty easy. Lopped off a bunch of it. Made a bracket out of the used part that I cut off to bolt to the, it used to be the alternator ground, but that's my new bracket for the cold air. It tucks right over top of the alternator. It'll never touch it. It's on there really hard. Everything's pretty much done as far as that goes. It's not touching here. It's not touching here, but it's on there nice and firm, so it ain't gonna go anywhere. The wiring's a bit of a, you know, I can't do nothing about it, but it is what it is. Again, radiator's getting changed, so I ain't gonna worry about that. Yeah, that's all the parts I have for today. My O2s are probably in the box, but I have to get them tomorrow. And I have to get some other stuff out of the box tomorrow, but yeah, the only thing left to work on now is going to be the throttle cable, which is pretty much easy peasy, and then swapping the radiators when it gets here, and this baby will be pretty much done. It's going to look real nice. I can't wait for, he will have to get a tune, because this is just set to basically VATS deleted, and what else was it, enabled the fans, which the fan wiring is inside on the harness, which no problem. I got that other harness I need to run. I got to do that still. But this fan has to come off here, go on the other radiator when it gets here, and this radiator will go in storage for whatever. And from that point, you know, it is what it is. But this is about the only big piece of chrome on there. It's actually, I think it's stainless. It don't cut like aluminum. This is aluminum, so once I get the O2s in, I can put it back on the ground, because that's what I'm waiting for. But that's pretty much it for right now. So finally my O2s came, but unfortunately, as I've done stated, I gotta change this radiator. We got the actual LS one, which moves both upper and lower hoses to the passenger side, which means I get rid of this stuff and I just run a single hose, and the bottom one's just basically a straight shot at that point. So yeah, all the hoses will be fixed, it won't be cobbled together. I need to put these on real quick, then I need to put that the pedal in, and I'll be waiting on the radiator at that point. It might be here tomorrow, it might not, but once that's in, the pedal's hooked up, it's pretty much done. So it's come a long way. Oh, I still gotta wire up the electric fan too, can't forget that. It's like quick stuff though, like boop boop boop, done. But I'm gonna put these on real quick. Of course, you know how to put O2s in. I hope you know how to put O2s in. But let's slide up under here. I got the heat going right now because it is cold. So it's cold, got the heat on. I need to pull the radiator. I need to pull off, I have to cut these hoses again, make them fit. Got the thermostat. Got my little fat dog out here with me. Don't I got my little fatty out here? Got my little fatty out here, yeah you do. But the new radiator has came. Come on, you gotta walk with me now, walk with me. I have to slice and dice her open. But we got an actual LS radiator this time. What on earth made him think to order a standard radiator instead of an LS radiator last time? I don't know. I'm just looking for a razor knife or something to cut with. Here we go, screwdriver. Screwdriver. Thing must have popped open during shipping. But this is a new radiator from, I think it's Champion. Yeah, Champion. It is an actual LS swap radiator. So your hoses are both going to be on the same side. You're going to have your steam port hose. And this one does not come with a fan, so we'll take the fan off the other one. Yep, it's a little bit heavier than that. Can you help me, dog? There we go. Hey, look at that. It comes with fittings. I'm surprised. But, and it stands on its own, people. It stands on its own. So, we'll toss this out. Yep, but steam ports right here, and trans holes. This is supposed to be for a 66. Well, it's a 62 through 66, I think. But we're gonna find out. Actually, it looks a lot better when they rounded the edges, but the radiator cap's still the same style. Still has the radiator, but. Let's pull this one out, which is real easy. Undo the trans lines, pull these 4 bolts, and this is barely on. Well, this is actually on there pretty good. But, and it should come out. Oh, I gotta unwire the radiator that I spent all the time wiring in the other day. Fantastic. I hate going backwards, but let's get this one pulled out. So the old radiator's out. Took the fan off of it, drilled new holes on this radiator, put the new fan on it. Not the new fan, but the fan that was on the old radiator. Now this one's all set up. I got the steam port on, fans on, redid my butt connector on the wiring, pulled the little nipple things, those little things out of the bottom of the radiator, and it is now ready to go back in. I hope it's all right size. The radiator seems exactly the same as that one, but you know, rounded edges and steam port. But I Teflon the steam port, put it back in, Done checked the fittings I took off the lines on the back side, because they're rubber on the back. They're the same on this, so this thing should drop right in, go in the holes. Hopefully the lines, they appear to be about the same spot, which is good because I don't want to have to redo these lines. It sucked. But yeah, it's ready to go in now. We'll plop her in and start running the hoses, the trans lines, rewire it, and the steam port. And at that point, we should be ready to tighten up the swivel thermostat housing I put on, so that way it points straight down toward the radiator hose. And I'll cut these up again and make them fit where I want them, how I want them. Which this is the top radiator hose, but if you get the swap radiator, which has the same size upper and lower, you can just boop boop right on and you're good to go. So let's get it in and get this nightmare almost over with. It's not been a nightmare. It's been pretty easy. It's just I'm tired. I hate waiting on parts. That's the longest thing of building anything. Is, you know, you can't really predict the 15 different fittings I had to get, or the radiator fittings, or a different radiator. Well, I can't predict the radiator because I knew we were going to need an LS swap radiator. But yeah, everything else is pretty much done. At that point, once the radiator's in, I can fill it full of fluids and hopefully it don't have a leak anywhere, like back there on that temperature sender, or the thermostat housing that swivels, because they're known to leak after a while. But everything else is fine. I gotta start running the wire right here for the electric fan. I gotta run the, what it says in the book that come with these is on your under dash harness there is actually a fan relay wire, and it's the green and blue if you got two dual fans. I only have single fans, so I'm gonna hook it up to green, which is one, your first fan relay, which is all this has is one big fan. So that'll be green to the black. The white is a keyed hot. The one they gave me is a double wire, so run it in, key hot, hook the pin 1. It should be pretty much good at that point. So let's get this radiator in. So get the radiator in. I've got 2 gallons of concentrate radiator fluid in it, and I am going to add, well, I already added a gallon of water, but I need to fire it up now. I was just trying to think of anything I need to hook up real quick. Right now I'm just trying to bleed the system. I'm not worried about the fans running or nothing like that. I just want it to bleed out all the water. Or not the water, but the air. And it's cold. I just got back from the worst place on earth right now, Walmart. So, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, which a lot of you haven't, that's still running. But it's rowdy. Very rowdy. I need my headphones on. You can feel it in your chest. I'm gonna get my headphones. My earphones. Oh, right here they are. Let's let this run a little bit. So it was running good, and then it died. And I know what the problem is. The pump has blown off the pickup tube in the tank, which sucks. But you turn the key on, you hear it spraying fuel in there. So tomorrow I'm going to pull the pump back out and try to see if I can't flare it a little better, because it was like not in a good spot to flare. Try to get it to where it don't blow off. Fish out anything that came off the pump. But it does run. It ran for about 10 to 15 minutes. You know, it was just at the point before the thermostat was getting ready to open up, and it died. So, no big deal. I think that's what it is anyway. But I'll pull the pump tomorrow, and hopefully that'll be fine. I do know that this temperature sender is not going to work for that gauge. And the reason being is the temperature gauge for this truck, at whatever that one reads, this one, when it wasn't even all the way open or all the way hot, like I can put my fingers on the sides of the heads, it was pegged out on temperature. So that's going to have to get fixed. I'll have to figure out why. It must be set up differently, you know. But anywho, it does run. All the fluids are good. They're not leaking in anywhere. It's not coming out of the engine anywhere. Not a milkshake in there, thank God. It looks like it's low on oil, though. No, it just wasn't out all the way. Yeah, but that's all good. So, no big deal. Hopefully I can fix that pump tomorrow. Do the throttle pedal, and pretty much done. And I actually posted this online, and I got a guy who's wanting me to do a 56 Pontiac. What was it? It's a station wagon. But Travelall's getting ready to get built, so that'll have to wait. Let's finish this up. Hopefully by Friday, it'll be done. He can come and get it. I'll be done. Yeehaw, get paid, get reimbursed for everything I spent on this, and then move on to the Travelall. Love it. So yesterday, I was running this, by the way. It's Thanksgiving. Merry Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year stuff. But this would run. It was running good. I had it running for about 15 minutes. It was all good, warming up. Wasn't opening or warm enough for the thermostat to open, and it just dies. I mean, dies. It's like, oh, that's weird. Went in there, turned the key again, crank it, fired up for about 2 minutes and died. Would not fire back. I'm like, what has gone wrong? So I started listening. When I turned the key on, I could hear a lot of fuel in the tank spraying. And I thought to myself, well, that's just the return. And I looked around, checked everything. The heads weren't warm. There was no leaks or nothing like that. So I'm like, what is going on? Why ain't this thing running? Went in there and turned the key on again. And I'm like, you know, that's quite a bit of gas. So I pulled the fuel pump. And again, it's just like this. I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong with it. But I did notice this. If you look, it's actually pushing, blowing past, and then collapsing back together, so it don't look like nothing's wrong. But yeah, this hose clamp is just sliding off. I didn't get a good enough flare on there, so I'm going to take it apart, re-flare it, put it back together, and put it back in. But again, I thought I had flared it enough, but it wasn't really a good flare because it's on a bend. But this time I'm going to flare it real good, get it on there, hose clamp it down real good, and then it should be perfectly good at that point. It should be ready to go. But no big deal. It's just you think you got it good enough and it didn't. So we'll just redo it. So if you can't tell, I gave it a Ric Flair. I mean a super, really good one. I friggin' tighten them hose clamps down real good. If it comes off this time, I'd have to blow this hose. Seriously, it would literally have to blow that hose off to pieces, blow it straight out. That's supposed to be fuel rated hose, but it does feel a little soft, but it's fuel rated. So let's put it back in and see if it fires back up. So I'm still working through this problem. What I've done, I've already put the pump back in and everything, but I actually put a pair of hose pliers on here that crimp them off. That's not what's bleeding. So there's something else messed up inside that tank. So I got to pull that back out. I'm beginning to think maybe that hose, because it felt real soft, might be toast. It might have a split I didn't see in it, but I'm going to pull it back out here in a minute. And I have some other high quality fuel hose over here in tank, fuel injection stuff that come with, the filter and stuff, but I believe that's what it is. It's still that fuel pump. Somewhere it is not getting the gas to it inside that tank. It is split, or either the hose, like the actual metal hose, has split, or that piece of rubber split, or something. I'll have to pull it out, probably bench, touch it to the hot and ground, see what it's spewing, try to figure it out that way. So the pump is back out again, because again, I was hearing the fuel in there, and just to be sure, I took a pair of hose pliers, put it on the return, crimped it to where, no fuel would get past, and I was still hearing it. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's this. This is the hose from the fuel pump, and it is, super, super soft. So it could have a problem. It could be expanding and blowing past or whatever. But I don't have another piece of 5/16 fuel hose. But these are what I used. I crimped off the hose on the return. Still gushing fuel inside of it. So it has to be something else. Now, I can blow as hard as I can into the pickup. It don't leak. Hook the pump up direct. It spins. Again, not knowing if it spins the right amount, but I shouldn't be hearing anything in the tank. The pump should be kicking down. It should go, wee. It's not. Okay. So this is literally the only thing I can think is wrong with this, because I've checked everything. It's got a big flare on it. It's not pushing past that flare. I doubt it's pushing past that little part. But yeah, I can't think of anything else besides just this rubber hose, because it's so soft. It's 5/16, and I don't have any, of course. But just to be for sure, tomorrow I'm going to return that pump, swap it for another one if they have one in stock, and get a little piece of 5/16 fuel line, put it back together, and see what it does at that point. If I still hear the massive amounts of fuel, I don't know. I don't know what it's coming from, why it's spewing. Like, I can blow air into it, and it's fine. I don't see it getting past this. So, I'm pretty much done, dead in the water till tomorrow. Alright, we now have the new pump, the replacement anyway. It's the same pump, it's just, replaced. The fuel line I have replaced with a Gates fuel injection line, 225 PSI rated. So let's put it back in and hope that was the problem. If not, I have another suspicion, and my suspicion is maybe that crank wire down there that runs beside the headers melted, and it's not reading the crank signal. So that would be my only other guess besides why it won't run. But let's try this first, and we'll move that. I just don't know why the other one was spewing so much gas. Oh God, it runs again. It was out of gas. That's what it was the whole time. I took that fuel pump out twice, checked it, rechecked it, did different gas lines, changed the pump. It was out of gas. Man. So I guess the fuel hand don't really read right, because, that pump and stuff in there. Is that white paint inside? What the crap? But yeah, it runs again now, so I can't believe that. I don't trust the fuel hand, basically. Yeah, it says it's like 1/8 of a tank or 1/4 of a tank. Doubt it. I only put 5 gallons in it. Yeah. Now it's got a bunch of air in the fuel line. Maybe that's not what's wrong with it. I don't know. So take a listen here. I don't know if this fuel setup is going to work for this, but listen. Pump on, key off. Something in there is bleeding pressure in that tank. I don't know what it could be. I don't think this fuel setup's going to work. Not at all for this. It sucks. It's getting on my nerves now because that's why it won't run. It's acting like it's trying to run, but I think it's bleeding pressure in the tank. So when I go to crank it, it tries to fire, but whatever's bleeding pressure is not letting it run. Again, listen. Something in there spraying fuel. I don't think this setup's going to work. So the other fuel pump didn't work. It's hissing. Well, it was hissing in the tank. I pulled it, tightened the clamps, and it's still not working. So my best guess now is that pump ain't strong enough, or this fuel pressure regulator's junk. The filter regulator for the Corvette, I don't see how. Or it's not getting enough PSI, so that would still be fuel pump. And the regulator could be bad, which is bleeding back. I can hear a lot coming into that tank. So if it's bypassing the fuel regulator that quick, it might be the fuel regulator. So I just ordered another pump, a better pump. It's a 340 liter per hour or whatever. That one's too big and it's a 340. But the other one is actually for a TBI, TPI setup, which produces, well, it's not a TBI pump. It's for a TBI car to run LS. So it's the same one I got in the Caprice. Same one I put in my C10. So it's a Kinsmo or something like that, but it's $40. Ordered it. I ordered a fuel pressure regulator to put on here so we can keep an eye on that. And at that point, if neither one of them work, I'm changing that filter regulator. Got the battery on charge right now just in case it ain't getting the right amount of volts. But I believe it is. It was at 12.1. So what's it at now? It's at 12.5 now and it's still going. So I got it on 15. I'm going to let that baby cook a little bit. I'm getting extremely aggravated from this whole setup. Yeah. But there's literally nothing I can do now, and it's going to be a week out on these parts. It's pushing further into the time when I'm supposed to start the travel all build, which is getting on my nerves. I was hoping this was going to be done a week ago. But again, I had it running good, and it just died. I wonder how much one of these filter regulators are local, because I'll go get one, pop it off, pop it on, check it, and if it runs, then it's that. So I'm just getting aggravated. Alright, so nothing I've done works so far. The pump is not hissing anymore, but it's still gushing gas in there from the regulator. So I went and got another regulator, and I read online that these Corvette style, fuel pressure regulator filters actually pop sometimes and you can't run. So I got another one, pop it on there, see if it runs. If it runs at that point, I know it's the regulator, and I don't know how often them are going to pop. So again, I'll run it for a while, see if it does it. If it pops again this time, then I'll probably have to order a hard mount regulator, one of them that you have to run your fuel in return to, but they have like an adjuster on it and stuff, so I can adjust the fuel pressure. The aluminum one. I forgot my oil pan was under there. But that's what I'm going to work on now. Jack it back up. God, I don't want to get back under this thing, but jack it back up. swap it, pull the fittings off of it, put it on this one, and hopefully it runs again. Let's find out. So after a little exploration, I've pulled all 8 plugs. All 8 plugs were literally soaked in gas. I mean dripping. Now I don't know if that's an injectors. I don't see all 8 injectors being stuck open. That don't happen. 1 or 2, maybe. All 8, no. That brings me back to tune. It needs the tune in order to pull the fuel down on idle and up on acceleration. So why is it just soaked in gas? I don't know. I'm going to let it sit overnight with the plugs out of it. Let it evaporate all that gas. I'm going to check the oil real quick because it's probably full of gas. If it had that much gas in it. But again, all 8 are out. I sort of want to crank it, but at the same time I can't because the fuse for the injectors is also the same for the coils. So I need to know if the injector's open, but if I crank it the way it is and it sparks fire, you know. So I'm going to let it dry out overnight. Probably actually tomorrow too. I got something else to do. But Sunday I'll probably come back, wire wheel these brand new spark plugs, put them all back in, then it'll probably fire right up. But again, I'm believing that the tune is what has killed, well, not killed, but stopped the motor from running. For now, all I can do is wait till Sunday, see what happens when I put the plugs back in and fire it. She runs again. So I pulled them plugs. They were all covered in gas. I'm sitting here going, why won't this thing run? I know it's getting spark. I know it's getting fuel. I thought it was getting air. Here's what happened. So when this thing warmed up, apparently the throttle position kicked into action and closed all the way. So the whole time I'm cranking it, it's just sucking nothing. Checked my snap-on brick, hooked it up, and I was reading it and I was noticing that turn the key on, throttle position 0. Cranked it, throttle position 0. So like a crazy ape, I hung one arm over the doorway, had the other one on the key switch, and I worked the throttle, fired right up. No problem. Wah, 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 wah. Golden. In fact, I don't know if there was a fuel pump problem, but if you remember last time when I was throttling it, you sort of had to just give it barely any throttle and it'd catch up. Well, now, wah, wah, wah. Golden. So you know what? I'm done. I'm going to do this throttle pedal. I'm going to fix the throttle to where while it's sitting straight in the throttle pedal, the pedal isn't crooked like that. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but it's sitting sideways. Because this is the pedal I was given with it. I'm going to fix that. Bolt it on. Drill the hole for the cable. I'm done at that point. Like, completely done. I'm going to let him mount the computer because he's super anal about not seeing it. And I don't know where to put it. So I'm going to let him do that. And I'm going to be done with this. But it runs now. That's all that matters to me. So happy it runs. It needs work. Again, it needs a tune. And I can't do nothing about that. I'm not anything about tuning. I have no clue. I have a laptop, but I don't have any HP tuners or anything like that. God, I know I wish I did because there ain't many tuners around here. And we kind of need somebody who can tune good. The closest guy comes from Mount Vernon once every couple of months and tunes like 10 cars at a time. No joke. He comes something like 70 miles and tunes. So, yeah, it's crazy. But I am so happy as a lark now that this thing runs again. I took and turned in the screw just enough to where it runs good. But, like, if you back it off a little, it kind of sort of misses. So I just turned it just to where it don't miss. But it runs. Happy. Happy, happy, happy. So, this is the bracket for the throttle pedal. I've got to weld up a little tab on this side to make sure this don't fall. Finish welding that. Cut the pedal or shall I say put a slice in it, just enough to twist her on around to where she looks flat in the cab, you know, just to where it's aesthetics at that point. I don't want to leave it looking like this in the cab. I want it flat, you know. So after that though, again, I'm done. I'm ready to get this thing out of here, get paid, pull in the Caprice, start chopping it up for the Travelall build. Again, also remember, we do have swag. They don't let me post it a lot because the music, I try to find non-copyrighted and everything seems to be copyrighted. So, you know, they take away my modernization to show you these shirts and stuff. But I do have shirts, hats, and everything like that in the shop down in the link below. But let's finish this thing up. Let's get some money. Let's get some reimbursement on parts, and let's move on. I'm ready to build the Travelall, and I also got a lot of other stuff going on, so let's get done. So we're getting close to the end of this thing. I started working on the throttle pedal yesterday, plastic cheap pedal, and I snapped it off. Yeah, great. But luckily for me, I had one of these. Now I'm just going to use the pedal off of it and continue using the rod that came with the truck, the one he wanted, but that's the pedal I'm going to use now. So I have to take it apart. Focus. There you go. No, focus. There you go. Just got to pull that little C-clip, pull the rod out. Rod can go in this one, and the pedal is going to have to, the rod is going to have to get ground down on this one so the pedal can function right. But that's my only options right now. I'm not going to wait for another pedal. I'm ready to move on with this, but this is the only thing I got left to do. Make the pedal work and look straight, drill a hole in the firewall, run the throttle cable, click, click, bolt, bolt, done. Done. Put the hood on, I'm done with it. He's going to mount the computer. I'm going to put the glove box and stuff back in, of course, but yes. We're about to be done with this thing, finally. Got the heat going. Throttle pedal's done. It works flawlessly, smooth as silk. So now it's time to put the hood on. That's right, it's pretty much done. I have to button up some things like clean out my tools, put the glove box back in, label a couple of wires for the owner because he's going to put the fuse box and stuff wherever he wants it. Other than that, this baby's done. I need to run it a little bit just to see if it's got enough trans fluid in it. Add trans fluid if it don't. And I'm done. Done, done, done. I've been leaving the battery on to make sure that it's, you know, not going to blow up. He's going to have to change these wires for sure. They are melting. He's going to have to get some 90-degree boots for him. But other than that, she done. It turned out really nice. A couple of things I would have liked to have done different is, again, I'm still going to say this. This intake should have been orange. So that way it would have pulled in the firewall down. It would have made it swoop in, you know what I'm saying? Like this, it's just way too much black for me. It's just blacked out. Right here, it's like, ooh, that looks nice. But anywhere else, it's like, it's just a black LS motor in there, you know what I'm saying? But I would have liked to have had that intake orange. I still need to wire up just the fan. I think I got it where it's supposed to be. I'm not sure. I've never wired electric fans up on an LS. I usually just use like the sensor on a radiator or somewhere else that enables the electric fan. That's all I've ever done. This one's actually on here, the sensor for the gauge, and it's pegging out, so I don't think that sensor's going to work. But I'll tell him that. He can fiddle with it. Again, I got to put the glove box back in, clear out all my tools, label some of these wires for him, and done. It's a good thing I walked over here. I would have left these bits sitting here. Need those. These are important. Yeah, but I'm gonna get my dad out here. He's gonna help me put the hood on and start finishing things up, cleaning up all this mess back here. My carburetor, I'm gonna keep that old harness. He ain't gonna use it. I can use it. I can use it to trade for other stuff because I don't use them either. I use eBay harnesses. Keep the cam specs. He can have his fuel pump. Yep, but we got a lot of stuff to clean up. Got to put the tank shroud or whatever you want to call it back in. It blocks the tank from the back of the seat, so hopefully it quiets it down a little bit. I doubt it, but you know, let's get it done.